We'll start today with an invocation from Chaplain John Gerhardt.
Dr. Malone, would you rise with me, please?
Sure.
Would you bow your heads for invocation? Lord our God, the words of Scripture tell us that it is good to give thanks, and we have much to be grateful for. We thank you, our Creator, for the beauty of your creation, for the joy of living in this lovely city by the sea. We rejoice in the gifts of life and health, and we are so blessed to be part of this great institution whose mission it is to prolong and preserve both. We're grateful for the success and the renown of this hospital system, and we are thankful for those who have led us to the prominence that we now enjoy. Many years ago, our God, we prayerfully sought for a leader to direct our course with compassion and vision, and you blessed us with Gwen McKenzie. And as we reflect now upon the accomplishments of the past 9 years, we thank you for granting us a leader with the razor-sharp acumen of an administrator, balanced with the compassionate heart of a nurse. Bless Gwen, we pray, as she continues to use her gifts and abilities to guide the health care of so many in her home state. And grant us grace to continue the medical ministry of Sarasota Memorial with great competence and the deepest of heartfelt care. These things together we pray. Amen.
Let's join together in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the meeting to order of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. And the first order of business is approval of orders of the day. Do we have a second? Any comments? All those in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And next, we approve the minutes of the meeting of April 21st, 2014, and the minutes of the special meeting of April 22nd, 2014.
So moved.
Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And so we will move on to a talk today on nipple-sparing breast surgery by Dr. Elisa Schulman, and Dr. Von Walder, you're going to introduce, right?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It is with great pleasure that I get to introduce two of my colleagues whom I'm also consider friends. Dr. Russell Novak graduated valedictorian of his high school class and graduated with valedictorian honors from Jacksonville University in Jacksonville, Florida. After attending the University of Florida for medical school and residency, he has practiced general surgery here in Sarasota since 1986. Dr. Elisa Schulman received her undergraduate degree from SUNY Buffalo, and she actually had multiple degrees, a fine arts degree in sculpture and a bachelor's degree in anatomy and physiology. She remained at SUNY Buffalo for medical school and then did her residency, microsurgery research and fellowship, and burn surgery fellowships in Houston. After completing a plastic surgery fellowship at the Medical College of Ohio, she relocated to Sarasota in 2009. Drs. Novak and Schulman have collaborated for many years on breast cancer surgery and reconstruction. Please welcome them as they present nipple-sparing breast surgery.
And I apologize, Dr. Novak. I think I left your name off the introduction, but we're happy to have you.
Thank you for the opportunity to give this talk. We were asked to come here because this is a relatively new procedure here in our area. It's been done elsewhere for some time, but Dr. Schulman and I both felt that this is something that we didn't offer here, and we wanted to be able to offer it to the population in our community and our medical community. To talk a little bit about nipple-sparing mastectomy, you have to know a little bit about the history of breast cancer surgery. And this first slide shows what is a diagram out of a book from some of the very first breast cancer surgery that was done. Unfortunately, our patients don't like seeing diagrams, they actually want to see pictures of what they expect to look like when they're done. They'll actually come to us now with pictures of what they're almost expecting. So we want to apologize a little bit about some of the pictures we're going to show you, but these are the same pictures that the patients are seeing before we talk to them. And actually, the first 3 photos that we're going to show are actually from Dr. Oz's website. The generation of surgeons before me were doing radical mastectomies. The patients were left deformed, they were losing muscle, they were losing a large amount of lymphatics in their axilla, and were ending up with quite deforming anatomy, swollen arms. About the time I started residency and just before that, we started doing modified radical mastectomies, which were muscle-sparing operations, but still resulted in a fair amount of lymph node surgery in the armpit. In the recent past, the trend has been more and more towards breast conservation, so breast-saving surgery, lumpectomies, lymph node surgeries, and radiations are being done. But unfortunately, a fair number of those patients also still end up with some deformity after a large amount of tissue is removed from the breast, and then radiation is administered. You can get a lot of scarring and dimpling. Dr. Schulman and I have been doing a lot of skin-sparing mastectomies. These are still mastectomies, but we're sparing basically the entire skin of the breast except for the nipple and areola complex, and then the nipple and areola complex are later being reconstructed as part of Dr. Schulman's work. So we're ending up with some of the looks like you're seeing on these pictures here. Well, unfortunately, fortunately, there is a population of patients who we feel can have skin-sparing and nipple-sparing procedures, and these are not only patients with cancer, but patients who have precancerous lesions as well. Probably the a nipple-sparing operation is better for a patient who, like Angelina Jolie, has found a lesion that is not cancer yet, but is pre-malignant, and they can avoid getting to that point of cancer.
I'm going to go back. Basically, this patient here was how I was taught to reconstruct a breast. I would consider from a surgeon this is a very reasonable result. She's happy with the size and shape, and this is what I've explained to her to expect. However, if I step back and look at this as a woman, it's not exactly normal. I mean, the scar is right in the middle of the breast where the nipple used to be. The nipples are tattooed on. Sometimes I can recreate a little skin button, but it's really not her breast. And very often the shape isn't quite what it used to be. And as far as, I considered it reasonable until we started having the option of a nipple-sparing mastectomy. Pretty much any general surgeon who's done a mastectomy, the first time they mention it to a patient, they're going to ask, do I really have to lose my nipple? And I think it's safe to say in this town, everyone was trained to understand that that nipple contained ducts, which could contain cells that could contain cancer. And so, yes, as a part of a mastectomy, the nipple had to be removed. What we're going to demonstrate here is that through the mid and late 1990s, there was sort of a perfect storm of information circulating around the world that started to question this dogma. For instance, the internet. The internet was becoming much more popular, much more useful throughout the mid-90s. All you had to do was turn on your home computer, and quite honestly, nowadays, people bring in their smartphone with all kinds of information right at their fingertips. So that was starting to be a big influence here. Also in the mid-90s, genetic testing was becoming in vogue, so to speak. The Human Genome Project was well underway, about to be finished in 2003, and testing specifically for the breast cancer mutation, BRCA1 and BRCA2, was offered in 1994. And so now we've gone from just asking about your family history to actually considering what would you do if you knew that you had at least an 85% increased chance of developing breast cancer in your lifetime. Would you take that next step to remove those breasts before they could harm you? And of course, another big influence has been support groups. We see them everywhere, breast cancer support groups, all kinds of support groups. This is a surprisingly strong vehicle for the exchange of information and sharing of experiences, not to be overlooked. So what has happened with all these influences, and we've all seen it in medicine, medical care has become patient-driven. And that's a huge change from the time when people were trained in medicine in the 1970s and 80s. This is a big difference. And again, they ask us, doctor, do I have to lose my nipple in order to have a mastectomy? Like I said, even Hollywood has kind of gotten in on that.
Actually, this is this week, I believe, is the one-year anniversary that Angelina Jolie basically came out and said, I had a precancerous lesion and had her breast removed, you know, as a preventative or what we call a risk-reducing procedure. What happened was physicians went back and looked at breast specimens to see just how far away cancers were from the nipple on mastectomy specimens and could actually save the nipple. And actually, on reviewing the pathology on a lot of these specimens, they found that there was a distance that was acceptable and that was favorable, even in cancers that are not just precancerous, but even early or smaller cancers. Surely this isn't an operation for everybody. Anatomy is a key factor, age, prior surgery, which I'm sure Dr. Schulman will touch on in a few minutes. So it's not for everybody, but we feel like it is something that we can offer a lot of patients. We've done, I believe, 5 patients here now and have had really, really favorable results.
Well, so then we're at the stance where most major cancer centers offer a nipple-sparing mastectomy. And Sarasota Memorial Hospital is a major cancer center. Heck, I saw it on Google. However, if you asked anyone in Florida, the first word out of their mouth would be Moffitt. And so the real question is, does Moffitt have something that we don't have for nipple-sparing mastectomies? Well, you don't need a new robot. You don't need a fancy OR suite. You basically have what you need here. We have a very talented and dedicated surgeon who has been trained to do a nipple-sparing mastectomy. And the actual tangible equipment's pretty minor, and Sarasota Memorial Hospital's always already graciously supplied us with what we need so far. So what are we still missing? Community still needs to know we can do this here. That's been our biggest obstacle. Not everyone's a candidate. Again, there are very specific things we need to look at. It's not something they can figure out on the phone or on the computer. And so they actually have to walk into our office for us to know that they're a candidate. So that's a big push right now. I'm going to show you just the example of one of our first patient for nipple-sparing mastectomy, a very sweet 49-year-old lady with a right-sided breast cancer who has a sister who was 40 with breast cancer, so she decided to have bilateral, and she had favorable setting for nipple-sparing, moderate to a small-sized breast, a little bit of extra skin from having children, and the tumor was farther away from the nipple. She is very happy with her results. The incision is pretty much invisible. It's under the fold of her breast, and she has maintained her nipples. Now, obviously, she's a little larger than she was. That's something I bring up with all my patients. Which would you like to be larger, smaller, perkier? Is there anything we can do to make this a benefit? Her husband's also very happy because we decided to go a little larger. And she actually has nipple sensation, not just skin sensation, but nipple sensation, which isn't something we always expect, but it's certainly a nice bonus. And needless to say, Dr. Novak and I are very happy with these results. The biggest thing is we need the community to know that if they're looking for a nipple-sparing option, they don't need to look any farther than their own backyard.
Thank you very much.
We're done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Are there any questions for the doctors? We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll go now to the Excel Award winner, Julia Griffin.
Our Excel recipient for the month of May 2014, Julia Griffin, is a mammography technologist at University. Julia has been an employee of Sarasota Memorial since 2007. Always goes the extra mile, flexible and dependable are just a few words from patients and staff that make up the nominations for this excellent employee. Julia started her career with the urgent care centers as a radiologic technologist. During her time with the urgent care center, she took it upon herself to learn the job of registration and also learn to assist our nursing staff. Julia made herself an invaluable employee at the urgent care centers by learning all of these roles. As she progressed in her career, she has done the same during her time at University Care Center. Last year, she completed over 3,900 patient exams at the facility. She's an incredibly hard worker, never says no, and is always in a positive mood. Julia always has a smile on her face. She goes out of her way to wow every patient. She's really excel in every part of her job. Julia consistently brings a positive attitude to work every day, which contributes toward a great work atmosphere for her and her coworkers. She's very easy to work with, a real team player with amazing customer service skills. Julia likes to keep busy. We have a registration cart that she helps greet patients when she has some downtime, and this helps our workflow tremendously. She assists any way she can to facilitate great customer service. Julia makes patients feel comfortable and eases their anxiety in regards to diagnostic imaging exams. She puts patient care first and comfort first and foremost. Julia takes great care of herself and others. She always looks great and ready to work. She's a warm and caring person who would help her coworkers in whatever way she could. She's very flexible with her schedule, communicating a positive, we can do it, teamwork image. Julia is someone you can count on. I cannot think of a more deserving employee. She's a huge asset to our ambulatory team. Congratulations, Julia.
Just to read this into the... Okay. The hospital board and administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System are grateful to all employees who constantly enhance the quality of a patient's stay by making an extra effort in their daily activities. The Excel program is designed to recognize employees who have distinguished themselves by prior performance and attention to others. Individuals recognized are models of excellence who strengthen the quality of patient care and the image of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System in the community. The hospital board and administrative staff are pleased to present to you, Julia, with the Excel Award for May of 2014 in recognition of your demonstrated courteous and caring attitude and contributions toward excellence at Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. Signed by Gwen McKenzie, CEO, and Marguerite Malone, Chairman of the Board. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And our next is a Hero Award, Noe Butler.
Noe, is that your little thing? Oh, that's nice. On March 22nd, 2014, Noe Butler met several friends for her 60th birthday celebration at Miramar Restaurant in Naples. They were not only celebrating her birthday, but her daughter's birthday as well. A nice woman at the next table offered to take a group photo of the large group of 16, and they took her up on the offer. Halfway through their dinner, this same woman who took their picture was having some difficulty. Noe could see her struggling for air. Noe did not hesitate and quickly offered to help, even though there were 2 paramedics in her dinner party. She performed 1 abdominal thrust and was able to dislodge the object, a large piece of steak. Noe then stayed with the woman for several minutes, helping her to stay calm and providing emotional support and reassurance. According to her longtime friend, Raynell, she is proud to be a friend of Noe's and so many awesome nurses at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. Noe is a very trusted and experienced co-worker in labor and delivery. I'm not surprised at her willingness to help and her compassion to stay with this woman. Noe is a picture of a true hero.
Thank you. Well, you are a hero, and on this 14th day of May 2014, for meritorious customer service, including consistently exceeding the expectations of patients, families, visitors, and staff, being an example to peers and others, having a personal commitment to excellence, and going above and beyond for individuals in our community. You are designated as a hero, and you deserve it. This is signed by Gwen McKenzie, CEO, and Marguerite Malone, Chairman of the Board. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for the recognition.
You're welcome.
Before we go on to our regular reports, let me state this. Any citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in a speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item on the agenda today, the comment will be heard early in this meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard toward the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Vendors, suppliers, or other persons seeking hospital contracts awarded on a competitive basis are reminded that their ability to address the board may be restricted by the terms of the invitation for bid, the bid request for proposal, or other purchasing criteria. Lastly, the board has established a claims adjustment review panel comprised of representatives of the board, the medical staff, administration, and legal counsel to review and negotiate the settlement of claims. Accordingly, the board will not entertain comments on or discuss or negotiate claims at this meeting. So we'll move on to our first report of the medical staff. Dr. Von Waldner, Chief of Staff.
Thank you. I actually have no report, but on behalf of the medical staff, I would like to wish Gwen the very best of success as she begins this next chapter of her career. Gwen, it has been a pleasure working with you, and we thank you for all the support you have given us. Oh, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Von Waldner. The auxiliary report, Ms. Dottie Ziegler, First Vice President.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Bob Dutrell is out of town, so I was elected, and here I am. One report I have for you today is that we lose several of our volunteers when they go north for the summer, and that cuts back on the services that we would be able to give to the hospital. However, we do have teenage volunteers that come in. Yes. We have 121 teens this year that have joined us for the summer. Out of those, 61 are new to our program, 24 are returning from last summer, and 36 of them have been ongoing participating with our program. They are the future of healthcare, and we're really excited to have them, to get them familiar with the hospitals and the things that go on, and we have some great kids that come here and volunteer. And the other thing we did this month was we had an auxiliary leadership retreat. We do this once a year. The chairman and co-chairman of the various areas come together, and we get we're able to get information about changing in healthcare, changes in healthcare, and what's the hospital is doing in that area. We had David Verinder come and Gwen McKenzie come, and they told us what was going on. They updated us on healthcare challenges and new things that are going on. And on behalf of the hospital, auxiliary, the board, and Bob Dutrell, I would like to thank Gwen for all of the time. She's always been available to us. She's always come and spoken at our meetings when we've asked her. And I thank you very much, and we really wish you well in everything you do in the future.
Thank you. We'll wait for the report from the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation until Alex Quarles is able to get here, so we'll move on to the Secretary's report. Mr. Tom Towler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have today the June calendar for the board. The highlights of it are on Thursday, the 5th, at 8:30 in the morning, the Quality Committee meets. At 9:30, the Mission and Planning Committee meets. And at 10:30, the Governance Committee meets. And at 11:30, the board lunch. On Monday, the 16th of the month of June, we have a public board meeting at 1 o'clock. That is my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. The Treasurer's report, Mr. Joe DiVirgilio.
I have only one item this morning, or this afternoon, and that is approval of the bad debt and charity care, and I'd like to make a motion. I move approval of the bad debt and charity care for the month of April, ending, 2014, ending on April 30th, in the amount of $11,713,000.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to the operations report. Mr. Bill Wojin, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have the financial highlights for April 2014. This is the 7th month of our fiscal year. And for the month of April, the healthcare system had operating revenue of $50,602,000 compared to a forecast of $46,522,000. For the 7th month of the fiscal year, our operating revenue stands at $330,420,000 compared to a forecast of $323,101,000. Total expenses for the system, the month of April, $48,507,000 compared to a forecast of $45,663,000. For the fiscal year to date, total expenses of $325,382,000 compared to a forecast of $321,852,000. Our operating income for the system in the rating agency format for the month of April, $4,533,000 compared to a forecast of $3,188,000. The operating margin for April, the actual, was 8.4% compared to a forecast of 6.4%. For fiscal year to date, operating income of $21,877,000, which was an operating margin of 6.2%, compared to a forecast of $17,524,000, or an operating margin of 5%. For the hospital's paid hours per adjusted admission, stands at 124, slightly above last year's 119. And for the fiscal year to date, we're at 125 compared to last year's 124. These are year-to-date statistics for the hospital. Average daily occupancy, 408 compared to a forecast of 392. The average length of stay is 4.58 days year-to-date compared to prior year of 4.71. And our admissions for the 7 months of fiscal year, 17,024 compared to a forecast of 15,387. For our surgery statistics for the year-to-date, 11,462 compared to a forecast of 11,864. For births, we've had 1,731 compared to a forecast of 1,601. The hospital's outpatient registrations through 7 months, 241,636 compared to a forecast of 252,150. Emergency care center registrations, 64,531 compared to a forecast of 60,406. And for our case mix index for the fiscal year to date, for all patients, 1.65, and for Medicare patients, 1.79. Madam Chair, that concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much. And now to the Jan Mock, the Chief Nursing Officer, and her report.
A few minutes here for the slides. Good afternoon. I'd like to start out just recognizing that last week was Nurses Week, and a few of the events that we had for that started out with unit celebrations. Each unit had their own celebration. Many physicians contributed in that celebration, and that was done on both days and night shift because obviously both shifts around the clock are what it takes to care best for our patients. We had a council drive, which is really to reinforce our shared governance, collaborative leadership drive for members to participate. We also had a couple educational sessions. We had a research conference where we had two nationally known speakers, and then we had a workshop on how to write, called Writer's Block, Flip It to Curing It. So as we do a lot of great work and as we get involved in publishing, it was very helpful for people who are interested in that. Then on Saturday over the weekend, we celebrated our weekend staff with a Florence Nightingale birthday cake. So we were here, all of us leaders were here, making sure that everyone got cake. And then our big day, which is truly Florence Nightingale's birthday, was on Monday, the 12th, and we started out with a breakfast, one of the things the staff, both shifts like. And then we had our nurses celebration that many of you were at, and I want to thank you for that support. And you can see here some of that celebration. What we do every year, whoops, moving too fast. Sorry about this. Too many buttons here to push. We recognize our nurses of excellence. Yeah, you got it there. And just like to recognize those people for their, those people. We have two PCTs, Caitlin Lacey from Critical Care and Megan Morrison from Comprehensive Rehab. And our nurses of excellence are Elizabeth Brott from the Cape Surgery Center, Tracy Robinson from Day Treatment, Vivian Cruz from Cardiac Progressive, Andrea Custode from the Cath Lab, and Heather Yoder from Neonatal Intensive Care. And I'd like to congratulate all of them. They represent excellence this year. We highlighted the model of excellence for our Magnet visit and the standards for Magnet, and so it was a wonderful celebration. So we got to celebrate that. The other thing I would like to share with you is one of the things probably that we, the nurses, enjoy most is the blessing of the hands. And this year we were very fortunate to get,
Just use the arrows.
yeah, we have to go to the internet. We get SNN to come in and do a story. So I'd like to share that story with you. There you go.
Well, nursing is known to be one of the most physically and mentally draining careers, and this week in Sarasota, they are being thanked. And SNN's Chrissy McClarty has that story.
Each day, nurses give their all, mentally and physically, usually to take care of complete strangers. But now, it's their turn to be taken care of.
It's National Nurses Week. To celebrate, Sarasota Memorial Hospital is recognizing the work they do.
Is physically demanding. They are long 12-hour shifts on their feet. It's emotionally draining because they come to care for the patients and families that they are tending to. And it's mentally draining as well.
Their awards, trinkets, and goodie bags.
The nurse is always put together, comes to work in a stylish appearance.
But for nurses like these, it's about more than awards and games. They use this blessing oil in the Blessing of the Hands ceremony to thank the nurses for the hard work they do each and every day.
In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit.
The Blessing of the Hands is a special ceremony asking for God's strength to work through their hands.
You can do what you can nursing-wise, but you can't fix everything, and it's hard to realize that.
Just last week, this nurse got close with a patient who was on the road to recovery. And when the nurse came into work the next day, the family told her the patient had passed.
They weren't expecting it either, so while you yourself are feeling what they're going through, you kind of have to, put it aside and just be there for everyone.
Of the many events this week, Blessing of the Hands is the favorite of the nurses.
It's really cool to be rewarded for that and to have people support you and say, hey, thanks for doing that and thanks for doing what you love.
And the hospital tells me they are Magnet designated, which is a direct reflection of the nurses' good work.
And do we know what percentage of hospitals hold that same honor?
Yes, it's the top 1% of all hospitals, so it's actually the highest nursing recognition ranking you can get in the entire world.
We certainly thank them for that. Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for all your assistance. I was told that the clicker here doesn't work, so it doesn't work well. So Gwen, you might want to remember that. I think you usually use the up and down bar. One other thing, tomorrow our neuro and urology unit will be moving to its new location. We call these the final moves. So we continue that moving process. Even though we've moved in the courtyard tower, we continue to move things to the right place to have the right setting for our patients, and obviously to offer more private rooms. So they will be moving to 5 East Tower in their new location tomorrow, and because our process for moving has been so successful, I'm sure this will be without an event and be very safe for our patients. The next thing I'd like to cover is the Bee Ridge Urgent Care Center. Many of you were there celebrating, as you can see here in the picture. It was a wonderful event, and it opened April 1st with the grand opening and ribbon cutting held on April 16th. And right now we're seeing about an average of 25 patients a day, so it's doing very, very well, and it's really serving the community. Under construction, we have the pedestrian bridge. You could, if you were out at night, you could see it, but the pedestrian bridge from the Medical Arts Building to the South Garage was brought in during the evening hours and installed on March 3rd. It passed ACA inspection and is now open for the public, and I'm sure our community as well as our physician offices are very happy about that. The Pain Care Center, we have Eugene Perea, who is board certified in anesthesia and pain medicine, is joining us at SMH Pain Program May 26th. He will be practicing at Heritage Harbor, Heart and Vascular Institute, and the Institute for Advanced Medicine. He comes to us with over 10 years of experience in pain medicine, has published multiple papers, presented numerous posters, and is interested in continuing to perform clinical research trials. So we're very excited about this new addition to our medical staff. The ambulatory site service, I'd like to recognize Kelly Mulch right now. You won't see her. She just got married and is on her honeymoon. But she, from the ambulatory services at the Institute for Advanced Medicine, recently received her Regent Award, which is an award given out by the American Association of Healthcare Workers or Administrators, and she basically got this from being a great new leader in the area and having great leadership capabilities, and we're very proud of her for that. So if you do see her when she comes back, you can announce those two things. Congratulations on your wedding and for receiving the Regents Award. Also, we're in the process of planning for our budgets, and so everyone is diligently working. We have a timeline, and that work has already started, so you know that we'll be busy doing that for the next couple months. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions or comments? Thank you very much for your report. We have no board reports today. We'll begin with committee reports. As you know, our CEO is leaving, and so we have established a search committee. We will be doing our work over the next number of months. We have also appointed interim CEO, our current COO, David Verinder, who will take over on the 1st of June. And we'll talk more about your departure a little later. So that concludes the report about the search committee. And we move on to Finance Committee. Dick Merritt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee met on May 1st. First order of business was the ICU columns. These medical gas columns are 21 years old and they are failing. The replacement columns will increase patient safety and enhance infection control and cleanliness in the area. This is the first phase of a 3-phase project, and I move approval of the replacement of the medical gas columns and interior finish work on the 4th floor 4EB ICU pod at a cost not to exceed $507,000 as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes?
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next order of business was the pediatrics relocation to 6 Waldemar Tower. This project will relocate the pediatrics unit from the 4th floor of the South and Rudder buildings to 6th Waldemar Tower as part of the post-moves project. This project includes redesign, installation of patient monitoring systems, furnishings, and security on the 6th floor of the Waldemer Tower as per the scheduled relocation of the pediatrics unit. Therefore, I move approval of the funding for the 6th floor Waldemer Tower pediatric unit relocation at a cost not to exceed $1.5 million as recommended by the Finance Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next order of business was the Series 2008 B bonds and the renewal. Bill Wojcik discussed the letter of credit renewal for the 2008 B bonds. The Wells Fargo letter of credit expires on October 1st, 2014. Bill advised they met with Kaufman Hall to review the debt product mix and discuss possible diversification of variable rate deal instruments. Bill believes variable rate remains appropriate. He advised there is no urgency to change the debt structure at this time, and it is working very well. Wells Fargo came up with a very competitive letter of credit renewal bid at 45 BPSs for a 5-year term. Therefore, I move the approval of the 5-year extension of the Wells Fargo letter of credit supporting the Series 2008 B bonds at a rate of 45 basis points and the delegation of the authority to execute the transaction to the CEO and the CFO as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Next discussion was about DeSoto Memorial Hospital request for proposal. Bill Wojcik discussed the financial circumstances of DeSoto Memorial Hospital and their request for proposal to initiate a search for potential purchase, lease, merger, partnership, or joint venture. At this time, we will not offer a bid, but we will continue to offer consultative services as needed and appropriate. Lastly, Nelson Lane discussed the KPMG special procedures as of September 30th, 2013, to review the management payments made in the fiscal year 2013 to the Baycare Health System. Madam Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I will move on now to the Investment Committee report. Mr. Joe DiVirgilio.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Investment Committee met on May 1st also. We received our quarterly reports on the various funds. As far as the board-designated fund investment performance review, Bill Wojcik reported the market value of the enhanced cash portfolio is over $145 million as of March 31st. For the quarter, net of fees, performance is 40 basis points above the benchmark. As far as the intermediate portfolio, that is at $461 million as of March 31st. The 3-month return, net of fees, is 60 basis points over our benchmark. We also received the quarterly report for the retirement plan investment performance. Our investment consultant, Tim Sant, first started with just an overview of the economic perspective relative to the Fed's view of things. Then Tim reviewed the returns and asset classes in our portfolio. In summary, large caps were up, small caps were up, international assets lagged, and there was a continuing underperformance of emerging markets. So if you got that all down, we'll move on. The SMH portfolio, though, was at $293 million, an increase of $5 million from year-end, which is the most important part. Lastly, Nelson provided us with an update as to where we are in the transition of our investment managers. Based on our last action, we've added some additional funds, and that's moving along, and we should, by the end of June, have all of our investments in the retirement income plan moved to all of the new asset classes. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the Quality Committee. Mr. Bob Strasser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, the Quality Committee meetings are held in a closed session, so I have nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think at this time we'll go back to the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation. Even though Ms. Alex Quarles is not here, Jan Mock, our Chief Nursing Officer, and somebody is with you, I think, while you do that, right?
Although we can't do it as well as Alex, we will do her justice here. Come on up. This is Candace Smith, and I'll tell you a little bit about why we're celebrating here. But Troy Lauderdale, who is the CEO and co-founder of a small company, which I'm sure all of you have heard us talk about, Volt. Volt is the method we use now for communications. Our nurses love it. They live by it. It's spread throughout the organization. 4 years ago, Trey came to Gwen and Dennis and asked if we could pilot something that was his brainchild as far as something that could maybe help in healthcare. And with their agreement, we started piloting, or you might call it a beta site here, where we worked with them on this application on the iPhone that could allow our nurses and now our physicians and our housekeepers and everyone else to communicate in a very easy and efficient fashion. Went from maybe pretty much thinking we would be communicating voice to voice to texting. Most of it's being done by text, and it's very, very efficient. So Trey is very pleased with Gwen's leadership and Dennis's support in allowing a local firm, a local company to test their ideas here. And they're very, very successful. And so this is Candace Smith, and she's the Chief Nursing Officer, and she's here because Trey was traveling today and sharing with us what Trey wanted to do. And really what he's providing for the foundation is a fund in honor of Gwen's name under nursing education, $5,000 a year for the next 5 years. And he wanted her to be recognized for this. So we just wanted to share that here. And Alex is very pleased about the contribution, and they're very much a partner of ours. They send a lot of people here to see how we've used it. And how many sites do you have now, Candace?
We're up to 59, soon to be 100 signed.
Almost 100 signed, and we were the first. We were the pioneers. So I want to thank them, and in your name, Gwen. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I just want to thank Gwen. I think someone like Gwen's leadership, sorry,
Yeah,
thank you.
speaking.
On TV. With Gwen's leadership, it really allowed Volt to come forward and help the healthcare community. I think Gwen understood how to leverage technology and really enable care at the bedside to be performed with something as somewhat revolutionary as a smartphone. So we really want to thank you, Gwen, for not only your leadership, but your friendship and your support. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. And so now we move on to the last president's report, I should say, that Gwen is going to provide us. And everybody should know that we tease her about her long report, so we are hoping that this will be right in that category. Long report.
Your word is crisp.
So I don't have to be crisp today? That's what
You
you're
don't
telling
have to
me?
be
Oh,
crisp
that's so
today.
generous. Thank you so much. My pleasure to give this update to the community. This is our leader report card and all the categories that we strive to achieve, and you're very familiar with it, but we like to update the community as well and tell them of our achievements as well as our challenges. The HCAHPS is our patient experience, and our goal is to be at 9 domains above the CMS average at 50%. Currently, we're at 7, and I'll show you some of that detail. Outpatient, as you know, we have 850,000 outpatient visits now. This is a measure of the patient experience of every single one. Our goal is to be at the 83rd percentile, and currently, year-to-date, we're at 80. Our Gallup employee survey is going on right now, and we'll wrap up the end of this week. Our goal is to be at the 4.26 out of 5 scale. I'm very, very pleased that right now we have, as of this morning, just a little over 90% of our staff have taken the survey, which is really a good feeling. And merits on time is a joint commission requirement, and this goal is 95%. Currently, we're at 97%. In the quality pillar, we now have reimbursement based on quality outcomes, which we think is a rather good idea. Value-based purchasing is that through the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid. So our goal is to recoup all of our reimbursement funds, and you can see right now we're at 99.8%. The organization percent of patient safety readiness is always important every day, but this year we'll be having our Joint Commission survey coming up in early 2015. So our goal is to be 100% ready, and you can see we are. The infection prevention is one that we've talked long and arduously about, and very important to us. It's a compilation of a number of infection rates. The goal is to be above or to be below the standardized rate of 1. Right now we're a little over that standardized rate, largely because of our catheter-associated urinary tract infections. So all of you know how much effort is going into that. Organization finance bill has reported to you, and we were pleased with the outcome of this month, the 8.5% operating margin. Our budget goal is 4.2%, and it appears if we continue this year as we have, that we'll be at 4.9%, so we will exceed that goal. And then our growth pillar, we've been really pleased with the growth in our inpatient admissions for the first time in 5 or 6 years, and so we're well above the goal of 25,000 admissions. We're almost at 27,000. And our outpatient registrations, we set a modest growth goal each year there, and we are not quite at the 812,000 goal, but we probably will be by year end. This is the Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems, which we call our inpatient experience, and you can see where we are each quarter. The April is only the month of April, and we're at 6, but we hope to get back to that 7, 8, and 9 mark. This is where we are benchmarking with the nationally recognized hospitals. We outpace anyone in the region with our scores, but we're really benchmarking with Mass General, the Cleveland Clinic, Duke, Johns Hopkins. You can see all the great organizations and where they are. So we're right there with them, but we see the Cleveland Clinic is at 9, so we know that's achievable as well. This is our outpatient Press Ganey, and you can see all the areas that are above the 50th and above the 83rd, which is our goal. I'd like to recognize both ambulatory surgery at 71%. This is a really nice achievement for them, and the SMH ECC, who have also been very consistently at the 65th and 70th percentile. These are the 2013-2014 actual, and then the 2014 goal, and you can see that we continue to strive for greater and greater performance. Jan reviewed Nurses Week, but I would have to tell you, and John, thank you for your kind words. That was a nice video on SNN as well, how important the blessing of the hands is to the nurses. They look forward to it every year. They talk about it all week, and they really just think it's a remarkable experience to reaffirm their nursing vows. And Jan showed you our 2014 MSTs of Excellence. This was a really nice achievement for one of our PhD nurses, Karen Reynolds. She threw out the first pitch at the Tampa Bay Rays game for Nurses Appreciation Day. Sorry, I have a cold. In the area
Worse when you get to Detroit.
Pardon me? Yeah, thank you for that kind remark about the weather. I knew you'd have to bring that up sometime, Darrell.
Of course.
This was our awards of excellence, our service awards, and we really had a very nice time recognizing all of our longtime employees. This was our March for Babies walk. I was pleased to be the chair this year, and we raised over $250,000 for the March of Dimes. And this was our NICU reunion, which we held that same day. This was the 2014 Hazel Award winner, Angie Leitner, and she has been a large part behind our 99% in willingness to recommend at the Waldemere Medical Plaza lab. I'll let you laugh at that picture for a minute.
Yeah.
This was our leadership retreat just last Friday. I'm not in the picture. But on the right is David Verinder, our new interim CEO. So that might lead you to wonder about David. In fact, Steve Mason is here, our CEO of the Baycare Health System. Steve, thank you so much for coming. And we had some of our Baycare colleagues there as well, and when I walked into the leadership retreat, first no one knew who I was, although Joe did think I made a pretty good blonde, right? And yeah, he said he But our Baycare colleagues said, do you always have this much fun at your leadership retreats and get all dressed up like this? But we really had a great retreat. Our two guest speakers were absolutely phenomenal. Heidi King is the architect of Team Steps, so we were actually able to get Heidi herself from the Department of Defense. And then Dr. Steve Tremaine has been helping us with our quality improvement scores, so we really had a great, great day. In the midst of our Gallup employee survey, we got word from Becker's Hospital Review that we were named as one of the 150 great places to work in healthcare. So if you don't think that that was a topping achievement, we were really so happy to hear about that and something that we really worked hard. And I want to thank Lori Bennett and Peter Taylor because they did a lot of work in filling out the application and making sure everything was in order. In the quality metrics, these are our value-based purchasing clinical measures, and if you focus on the right column, where the performance period is calendar year 2014, you can see in most of the categories we've achieved 100%, and there's a couple that we've missed by one patient. Those are the ones that we're really focused on. You can see the urinary catheter infections is one, the influenza immunization is another. So we've really got our focus in those categories. We have, this was just in the paper this weekend. This was really nice to see. Sarasota was named as the top place to retire in the United States. And on this website, we were listed as #1, and we've circled here. The website said Sarasota ranked first for its over 60 population and healthcare facilities. And a place in Hawaii was #2. So we were really happy to see that. We have a new program called the Oncology Star Certification. We heard about this in our management meeting from Yolanda Green. This is a survivorship training and rehabilitation program, which really nicely rounds out our program in cancer and the ability to help people continue to survive and thrive. This is also part of the American College of Surgeons certification for a comprehensive cancer program. And then just on Friday, Karen Reynolds and Sean and Mackenzie told me that an abstract that they had submitted to present at Press Ganey was accepted. And their topic is improving the patient experience for vulnerable older adults. So we couldn't be more pleased for them. And then in the area of growth, Jan had this in her slides as well. We're really pleased to have opened the Bee Ridge Urgent Care Center and have seen over 1,000 patients now in that location. So couldn't be going better. And then, of course, we want to thank the board for the initial approval. We realize there are many steps yet to go, but the initial approval of the rehabilitation facility right in the place of the Redder building, which will come down. And this will provide a beautiful new space, which is sorely and long needed for our comprehensive rehab inpatient patients. And so we'll have 48 beds with the ability to expand a bit should the rehab population grow, but fitting facilities and long awaited. So we couldn't be more pleased about that, and thank you. And then, David, if you would join me, please. I would just like to say I leave you in very, very capable hands. This gentleman has served very capably as a COO and now steps up to be the interim CEO, and I couldn't be more pleased because I recruited him and I know all the capability and talent that he has. But I also leave you with a very strong team pictured here, people that have served long and capably, and you will not skip a beat, I promise you, because this team is so well thought of. The rating agency often in their comments in our rating talks about the strong senior management team, and you have one. Not to be left out are all of you. Thank you so much for your guidance and your direction and your passion. I know we should double your salary, and I think about it all the time.
Done.
But you serve us so capably, and to be an elected board and have all the passion that you do and serve all the hours that you do. And I know many of you have many things to do in other places, but you give us your time lovingly, and you do it with great passion. And I just really appreciate that personally and professionally. So I want the community to know they're in the best of hands between the team and the board. We won't skip a beat, I promise you. This is a great organization, and it will continue on as we promise. Thank you.
Thank you. We have nothing on the consent agenda. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
Public comments, legal matters?
I have no report. I don't even have staff.
Thank you. So now we move on to a special treat today, the Northport Key to the City Mayor Jim Blucher and his group. We welcome you to our meeting.
Good to see you, Jim. Welcome. Madam Chair, may I have a moment? He finishes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my honor to be here today. Most of you board members have joined us in Northport. This is my first time to get to visit you in your lovely boardroom, and it couldn't be for a better occasion as far as I'm concerned. Along with me, I have Commissioner Jones, and we have our city manager, Jonathan Lewis, with us. And as I think some of you know, we had a firefighter that lost his life, and so that's, or we'd have more people here, but we're kind of doing double duty. So with that, I've got a couple things I want to do. I won't take too much time, but Gwen, if you'd please come join us, I'd appreciate it. Here we go. A couple things. Number one, everybody here knows the bio of Gwen McKenzie, but I'm going to read some of this again because it's. I prepared this for Northport, thinking that we were going to have more time, but obviously we couldn't. And I thank you, Ms. Malone, for making sure that we could come here and do what we wanted to do. So I thank the entire board for that.
Our pleasure.
But Gwen is President and CEO of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. The regional medical center consists of 806-bed hospital, physician practices, and a network of specialized medical campuses and clinics that include a nursing and rehabilitation center, psychiatric hospital, and urgent care and outpatient centers. With nearly 4,000 staff, 1,000 volunteers, and 800 physicians, it is one of the largest acute care public hospitals in the nation and one of the largest employers in our region. Despite the challenges of serving as the county's only safety net hospital for the uninsured and underinsured, Sarasota Memorial continues to offer a breadth and depth of services usually found only in major academic medical centers. The organization is the only hospital in the region to earn magnet status, the nation's highest honor for excellence in nursing, and a ranking on U.S. News 2013 Best Hospitals list, and 2014 Becker's Hospital Review named the hospital as one of the 150 great places to work in healthcare that Gwen just shared with you. Since joining Sarasota Memorial in 2005, Gwen has implemented numerous patient care and operational improvements. She successfully opened 7 outpatient centers, including the, not to be left out, including the freestanding emergency room and healthcare center in Northport, which was the first of its kind in the region, which we were honored. The strong focus on growth opportunities and cost-saving measures, combined with an emphasis on enhancing the patient experience, helped Sarasota Memorial turn around a financial loss into a positive performance. Indeed, the organization's financial results led to bond rating upgrades and paving the way for a $250 million campus improvement project and the successful completion of the new 9-story courtyard tower. Gwen has served on the boards of the Florida Hospital Association, the Safety Net Hospital Alliance of Florida, FSU College of Medicine, the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, Cooperative Services of Florida, and USF Community Leadership Council. She also was a member of the Florida Governor's Health and Human Resources Transition Team. In 2013, Gwen was named among the 100 leaders of great hospitals by Becker's Hospital Review. She earned the Girls Incorporated of Sarasota County. She Knows Where She's Going Award in 2007 and the Ear Research Foundation of Sarasota Recognition Award in 2010. In 2011, she was honored as a Woman of Valor by JFCS and received the Community Youth Development's, that's CYD, Leadership Award. She also received the AJC West Coast Florida 2011 Civic Achievement Award. Trained as an oncology nurse, Gwen worked for 25 years at the Detroit Medical Center before assuming the leadership role at Sarasota Memorial. Starting as an advanced practice nurse practitioner, she worked her way from bedside care and clinical management to executive vice president and chief operating officer at DMC. She also was president of a number of the DMC hospitals and served as interim CEO of the system. Gwen attended the University of Michigan, earning a Bachelor of Science and a Master's in Health Services Administration, and she received a master's degree in nursing from the University of California, Los Angeles. And there is so much more that I haven't even touched upon, that the meat of it is this, Gwen. I wanted to come up, Jonathan, taking pictures, and Jonathan wanted to come up because we certainly enjoy your passion for healthcare. And if it wasn't for that passion for healthcare, we know that we would not have a freestanding ER in Northport. We thank the board and those members that were here that helped us with that, but Gwen was the cog. And without that, we knew that we would never be able to achieve what we wanted. Since then, look at our economy in Northport that has helped pick up, not just the employment that you gave us and such, but the main factor was that Gwen gave us health care that was so badly needed in Northport, and she recognized it. And I have to keep talking about her passion, because if it wasn't her passion, I don't think we would have made it. So because of that, City of Northport wants to honor you with the key to the city. And that's our home, and we'd hope to think it's your home anytime. When you come back, we'll do more than keep a light open for you. So thank you, Gwen.
So much.
Thank you.
Gwen, would you just stay there, please?
Thank you, Daryl.
Jonathan.
Do anything.
Oh, Marguerite.
Maureen.
This is a resolution of the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. Whereas Gwen M. McKenzie is hereby honored for her extraordinary 9-year tenure as President and CEO of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. Since 2005, Gwen has served as a visionary chief executive, positioning the health system for a successful future despite the uncertainty of health reform and numerous other challenges. At a time when public hospitals are under a greater threat than ever before, Sarasota Memorial is a strong, stable organization by virtually every measure. And whereas Sarasota Memorial is known throughout the nation for its excellent care, top-notch operational performance and advanced technology, earning accolades from U.S. News, Health Grades, Thomson Reuters, Becker's, and many other healthcare rating organizations. Most recently, Sarasota Memorial maintained its Magnet designation, the nation's highest honor for excellence in nursing, joining an elite 1% of hospitals that have received this prestigious status 3 times. And whereas Gwen's unwavering focus on improving access to care resulted in the successful launch of 7 outpatient centers in the past decade, including a much-lauded freestanding emergency room and healthcare center in the medically underserved community of Northport. Thanks to careful oversight and financial stewardship, Sarasota Memorial completed its beautiful new 9-story courtyard tower on time and on budget, creating more than 500 construction jobs during one of the worst economic downturns in recent history. And whereas Gwen transformed the flow of patients through the health system, starting with the emergency care center, reducing wait times, and eliminating ambulance diversions while increasing patient volume and satisfaction. These operational improvements, combined with cost-saving measures and an emphasis on an improved patient experience, turned Sarasota Memorial's long-standing financial loss into a positive margin. Indeed, the organization's strong financial performance has resulted in bond rating agency upgrades and paved the way for the hospital's $250 million campus improvement project. And whereas Gwen has long been admired for her inclusive and collaborative approach with employees, physicians, volunteers, community partners, and other stakeholders. Known for her expertise and passion, she has been tapped to serve in leadership roles on many local and statewide organizations and task forces, including the Florida Hospital Association, Low Income Pool Council, Governor's Transition Team, and Safety Net Hospital Alliance, to name only a few. She has been a highly effective advocate for health care issues, repeatedly meeting with lawmakers to ensure that the hospital's concerns remain top of mind with policymakers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Gwen McKenzie's remarkable achievements and distinguished service are recognized with the greatest appreciation by the members of the hospital board. We will miss our dear friend and wish her all the best in her new leadership role in Michigan. Signed, Dr. Marguerite Malone, Chairman of the Board, and Mr. Tom Towler, Secretary of the Hospital Board. We'd like to give you this. So much. And from all of us. Oh, how nice. How lovely. I'd like to give you this. So much. And then we want to say just a few words here. We're going to ask you to say a few words. As we all know, this is Gwen's last time here. We really are going to miss you. I know we have all said in other venues, a piece of our heart will go with you. But this organization is in such strong shape. We have every confidence in our new interim CEO, David Verinder, in your leadership, the team you've created, all of the team that's here. The organization will keep on with its wonderful progress. But that's the sign of a good leader. You come to a place, you help develop it, you make it grow. When you leave it, it keeps on going. We love you and we'll miss you. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Well, these will be very few words because you know how I feel about all of you and about the organization. And as Jan always says, there's no I in team. And this has been a real team effort from the governance level, all of you. And Marguerite, you have put in so many hours during this transition. I know the board wants to thank you, but I want to personally thank you that you've just been there and really kept everyone comforted and calm. And that's really what I hope for going forward, is that the organization maintains and thrives, which I know it will, maintains its graciousness and gracefulness, and that it just remains as such a community asset. I said to the management team the other day, you know, if you're on 41 in the middle of the day, you see traffic slow down, and why does it slow down in front of the hospital? Because someone is pointing out, there's our hospital. And to me, there's no greater accolade than to be thought of as a great community asset, and we are. So I thank you for your leadership and your guidance every step of the way. And thank you for this.
We now are officially adjourned.